The film begins with a family. They living in Indonesia, and the timeline is 2001. We first meet Nadia, a young girl in the family. Nadia is finding it quite strange to live in the house she and her family live in. For the past 7 years, their house has been undergoing renovations. Their house is quite dirty, but the renovation hasn't been completed. To make matters worse, her mother has fallen seriously ill. She has a disease that doctors can't diagnose and can't treat. Nadia is also deeply worried about her mother, and her mother, too, is tired and fed up with it all. In this emotional moment, she tells Nadia, "You and your brother should never abandon your father. Always support him in whatever he does." As she says this, her health suddenly deteriorates. She begins vomiting blood, which even falls on Nadia's face. Seeing her mother's deteriorating health, Nadia calls her brother and father. Distressed, the two siblings tell their father that they should take her to the hospital. But their father reacts strangely, as if fed up with his wife's illness. He leaves her in this state and goes into a room, leaving their son, Yuva, extremely angry because whenever a problem arose, his father would lock himself in the room instead of solving it. Shortly after, it is shown that their mother's health has miraculously deteriorated. Although it seemed she was about to die a short while ago, her health improves so much that she not only gets up but also cooks food for her children and celebrates New Year's with them, all while they were enjoying New Year's dinner. Meanwhile, we see a strange figure standing behind Nadia's mother, with a goat-like head. This suggests that he wasn't human, but a demon. As soon as Sayer appears, Nadia's mother's condition worsens again. She begins behaving strangely, goes to the kitchen, boils a large amount of water, and plunges her face into the boiling water. The children don't understand why she did this, but we understand that she did so under the influence of the demon. Seeing their mother's condition, the two children become extremely distressed. They try to take her to the hospital, but she dies on the way. The scene cuts to 3 months later. Things have returned to normal after Nadia's mother's death. They are trying to move forward in life, and it's revealed that her husband, who opened a shop just a few days before her death, is now doing much better. So good that all the nearby shops have lost business, and almost all the profits are coming to Shant. But despite all this, their children haven't yet returned to normal life. The most affected is Yog, whose grief over the loss of his mother has driven him almost insane. He now sees strange things. Like when Nadia comes to him, he's sitting at the exact spot where his mother last vomited blood. Suddenly, he sees the tiles begin to shake. The tiles crack open and 2 demonic hands emerge, grabbing him and dragging him into a pit inside the tile. Inside the pit is not the normal world, but hell, a hell. Numerous scorpions also emerge, scaring Yog immensely. Seeing this, Yog starts screaming, but his sister consoles him and tells him that nothing of the sort had happened. What he was seeing was just his own hallucinations. The grief of his mother's death had driven him mad. And today, in his grief, he even insulted his dad and asked him, "When will this drama of yours end? Why don't we leave this house? Ever since we moved in, this house has been in disarray. You don't let us clean it. This is why our mother got sick and died. I don't know what you want. Should we all die?" Enraged by all this, Yoga's dad slaps him. Nadia takes him to her room and explains to him that he shouldn't insult his father. Yoga was just getting ready for bed when he suddenly heard his mother's voice from the kitchen. He immediately got up and went to check, only to see a girl, who also lived in their house, running down the corridor. It wasn't. Ignoring this, he goes into the kitchen and sees his mother standing there. But before he can speak, he hears footsteps. The entity in front of him disappears, and Yoka quickly hides. He sees that his father had come there, who immediately takes a large knife, turns off the light, and begins to leave. Yoka quickly goes to his room. Then he sees that his father has also come to check on the two siblings. When he confirms that they are asleep, he goes into their secret room. Yoka is determined to see what his father does at night. So, he silently follows his dad, reaches his secret room, and looks inside through the keyhole. Whatever was there was terrifying, and we can tell from Yoga's face. But we're not shown what's actually happening there. The scene cuts to a scene 11 years later. We're shown the same house again, on New Year's Eve in 2011. Renovations are still underway inside. The house is still as dirty as ever. But the only change is that both Yoga and Nadia have grown up. Yoga, just like her mother, has fallen ill, and Nadia takes care of her. Now that Nadia has also grown up, Yoga tells her, "You've grown up now. You have to face a big truth today, something I've been dealing with for years. I'm sure you'll be able to control yourself." Nadia was confused. What was Yoga trying to say? Yoga tells her to just wait until night falls. Now, as usual, her father comes to check on her children at night. After confirming that both of them are asleep, he asks, "Are the children asleep?" He picks up a large knife and goes into the secret room. Yoga then takes his sister outside and asks her to look through the keyhole. When Nathia sees the scene inside, she too is shaken by fear. Her father was performing a ritual inside. He had a devil's head in front of him, and then he sacrifices to a black god. He pours its blood on the devil's head, then drinks it himself, and pours it on himself. Watching all this, Nadia understands what was happening and why. She also understands why her mother died and why her brother is sick today, because her father is involved in wrongdoing. As soon as they emerge, they both fight with their father, and Yoga flatly tells him, "You're responsible for our mother's death." So, after all this, Nathia doesn't stay silent and says, "Yes, I am responsible. But you don't know how all this happened. All this happened to save your life, not mine." Hearing this, Yoga was shocked. He then began to tell the whole story, saying, "When I got married, we were very poor. We barely had enough food at home. Then one day, your mom and I decided to worship a demon. We would make a deal with him, where we would make a sacrifice to the demon every day, and in return, the demon would give us everything we wanted. After that deal, their situation began to improve. Their shop started doing well. They continued to make a sacrifice to a black god every day, and everything went well. But one day, the demon came to take Yoga's life, because it was also a part of his deal that he would take their eldest child. And to save that child, Yoga's mom actually bargained with him. Your mom told the demon to spare you and kill them. And that's why you're alive today and living a good life. That demon now lives with us in this house, and we have to renovate it because he's obligated to keep it dirty." Hearing all this, Yog becomes even more devastated. He hadn't yet recovered from the grief of his mother's death, and now that he's learned that he was responsible for her death, he loses control and goes into the secret room and starts breaking things. He even breaks the demon's symbol. His dad repeatedly stops him, but he refuses to stop, destroying one thing after another, and his dad begins begging the demon for forgiveness. After all this, Yog's life is no longer normal. His life deteriorates even further. The same things he used to see in his childhood are now appearing to him again, and they start to frighten him. Today, he's even able to understand why he's been seeing those scary things and entities since childhood. It was actually the devil who was showing him all those things. Especially the hallucinations in which someone constantly dragged him to hell. In fact, the devil used to show him his future, saying they would take his soul to hell. But his mother had stopped all this. That's why Yoga stopped having those hallucinations. Here, these children finally learn why their father's businesses are always so successful. In reality, it was God who was behind everything. But now, because Yoga had insulted the devil by breaking all his things, the devil was about to take revenge on him. The old hallucinations start recurring. His health starts deteriorating again, and Nadia can't bear to see him in this state. She goes to school and searches the internet to find ways to stop this ritual. Her research is met with ridicule by all the children in her class, except for one boy who believes Nadia is in grave danger. When Nadia returns home in the evening, she finds her brother in agony. Facing the same hallucinations, she manages to control him. Just then, her father arrives. He came home late today. He explains that the person he always ordered for the black coat didn't come today, and he had to arrange for this goat himself. He was about to perform the ritual again, but his children stop him. But Shant insists that this ritual can't be stopped because if the deal is broken, the trouble could worsen. Nadia asks, what's the worst that could happen? Her father tells her, we could all die. Hearing this, Nadia's heart becomes even more frightened, and she remembers what her mother had said, you should support your dad in whatever he is doing. She understood that her mother was saying this, support your dad in the rituals. That's why she starts accompanying her dad in the rituals. Now, when Nadia's friend, Sahayag, learns that their mother had asked them to do this, he also agrees to participate in the rituals. They continue performing the rituals without any holidays, and a few years pass by. And now, as New Year's Eve of 2012 arrives, they see the demon with their own eyes in their home. The terrifying demon, resembling half goat, half human, was enormous and terrifying. When it appears, they are terrified. The first thing it does is attack Yogya. He throws her around with his powers and finally kills her. Their death has devastated them. Nadia asks her dad, you said the demon won't do anything as long as we keep making sacrifices. And when he took our mom's life instead of Yoga's, why has he come to take Yoga now? Her dad doesn't answer. Something happens. They continue their goat ritual. But despite all this, Nadia begins to experience the same things Yoga faced. Horrifying hallucinations. Evil spirits haunt her, constantly scaring her, even at school. She develops rashes on her body, just like her mom and brother did. And now she feels she too will die soon. At this point, a friend from school comes to her and tells her she should share her problems with someone. But Nadia refuses to share any of this. With each passing day, Nadia's health worsens, and her father, increasingly worried about her, decides to take her to a shaman. However, on the way, they are harassed by numerous evil spirits, resulting in an accident. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself in a strange hut. It was originally a shaman's home, and it was her father who brought her there. It was the shaman who, years ago, performed a ritual to unite her father and the demon. Here, Nadia also sees numerous pictures of families who had made similar deals with the demon. Nadia asks the shaman if this couldn't be stopped. Then Shane reveals a horrifying truth, the deal I made could have been stopped. I only made the deal that these people would perform a goat ritual and the demon would pay them in return. He will. But your dad, driven by greed, contacted the demon himself and began demanding many things from him, not knowing that the demon would demand many things in return. And the demon did ask for them and took them. Your dad had made a deal with the demon for your family's death and had demanded all the luxuries for himself in exchange. Hearing this, Nadia's heart began to break. Her heart sank with grief. She couldn't breathe, unsure how to react. She looked at her father as if she didn't even know him. Hearing this, her father also began to cry and apologize, saying, yes, I did all that out of greed, but now I regret it and I will make it right. They left with this statement. From that day on, Nadia felt a significant change in her diet. She stopped performing the goat ritual. They abandoned the house they lived in, the house they had to constantly keep dirty for the demon, and after distributing more than half of their wealth, which the demon himself had given them, among the poor, they leave. Years pass trying to find a way to end this ritual. They find no way to end it, and Nadia's condition worsens day by day. During this time, Nadia had written a book about everything she was feeling, everything that had happened to her, her brother, her mother, and her entire family. The book had yet to be finished, and then the time came in 2021. Nadia's father takes her to a mountainous area where they meet a shaman. This shaman, upon seeing Nadia, understands the entire story and also realizes that no one can solve their problems. Looking at Nadia, she explains that because of the deal her father made, her mother died in 2002, her brother in 2012, and now you will die in 2022. Hearing this, her father was devastated. He wanted it all to stop, but now nothing could be done. Nadia explains to her father that they must accept their fate and give up this fight. Now, no one can save them from this evil. Deciding this, they return to their old home. After returning to their hometown, Nadia meets her school friend, who always helped her stay happy and understood her. It was he who advised her to write down all her problems in a diary, and the diary eventually became a book. She gives the book to her friend and returns home, as New Year's Day is approaching, marking the beginning of 2022, and every 10 years, their family is killed on New Year's Day. Nadia and her father sit at the dining table, heartbroken, knowing what will happen. Nadia's father reassures her of his love, and then tells her to leave, knowing she won't be able to see her die. As the clock strikes 12 o'clock, the demon enters the room. It doesn't just attack her, but takes control of her mind, using it to harm her. Nadia begins scratching herself. She scratches her face so hard that her skin peels off, and then takes her own life by slitting her throat with a knife nearby. With her death, her father is utterly devastated. It seems as if they too had ended their lives and imprisoned themselves in this very house. When Nadia's friend reads Nadia's entire book, he discovers at the end that Nadia had predicted her own death, that is, had already written it in the book. By the time he reached the end of the book, it was too late. He couldn't even meet Nadia one last time, and to fulfill his wish to meet her, he even visits her grave. Meanwhile, in the movie's post-credits scene, we are shown 3 members of Nadia's family standing in front of her father, who were being pursued by the same demon. Her family members were calling her to them, when suddenly, their heads were replaced with goat heads. Her father, seeing all this, began to cry, and the movie ended with this terrifying scene. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel Mr. Movie Recap.